Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of the Film Thingy Podcast, the improv podcast that pops on a deer stalker, grabs a magnifying glass and smokes opium so they can't see straight.
That's John.
And he's Matt. Matt, what film are we looking at today?
We are talking early 90s. Murders, eating people, rubbing lotion on people, cutting skin off people. Am I getting into too much detail on what we're doing to people?
Probably.
Should I stop talking about what we're doing to people?
Yeah, what we've been doing
We're
to
not
people.
eating people.
No.
We've paused too long there. It's Silence of the
Lambs. So, Silence of the Lambs.
What's your choice?
Literally top 3 films for me. This is such a good film. Like, it is such a good film. If you haven't seen it and you're listening to this, then you need to go back and watch. Stop listening, go back and watch it first.
Yeah, agreed.
And really soak up how good a film it is before you listen to this and we fuck it up for you. That's my advice.
Enjoy it once and then we ruin it forever.
Yeah.
As is our way.
Yeah, I'm more than happy with that, as long as they get to see it once for the first time.
Yeah.
Fresh eyes.
I completely agree. Amazing film. One of my favourite films. Don't know if it fit in the top 3, but it's close.
Collectively, then, we would say it's one of our favourite films.
Absolutely.
Then. Yeah, as a collective, yeah.
It's a great performance all round, and it's a small cast. There's not actually a lot of people in
There's
it.
a heck of a lot of extras.
There is.
Which is fine. The actual main cast is reasonably
4 or 5 people, really?
Yeah, probably a little bit more, but yeah, it's modest.
Jodie Foster,
Tony
Anthony Hopkins, Ted Levine, the guy that plays Jack Crawford, whose name escapes me.
Scott Glenn, Dr. Frederick Hilton. You would say he's a co-star?
Yeah.
What would you say?
A minor character, and then obviously the girl that's kidnapped.
Yeah, can't forget her.
The senator's daughter.
And then the senator. Yeah, there's a few people that have like... But even then...
One scene and done.
But I read this earlier when I was just doing a bit of extremely light touch research to make sure I wasn't going to mess anything up more than we're already going to. But Anthony Hopkins is only in the film for 16 minutes.
Yeah.
Which I think is incredible considering how big of an impact he has in it, and he won an Oscar for it, I believe. You've people like Frederick Hilton, the senator's daughter, they're all in it and play reasonably big parts. Not as big as Hannibal Lecter, obviously, but they're all important to the story, but they're not in it very much.
Yeah.
So every scene really counts.
Start you off. I'd say we'll start you off easy, but it never is. It never is.
Do you know what as well? You never finish that sentence anymore. You say what you're about to say and you look at me and just roll your eyes.
Plot in 10 words.
Plot in 10 words. Rookie FBI agent consults serial killer to find another one.
That's really good.
I thought that was alright.
Yeah,
for me.
Good. No, that is good. That's succinct. Yeah, I like it.
That's the whole film. Beginning, middle and end.
Yeah.
I've finally done it.
It's the best one yet. But it's not a hard bad, is it?
Sure. No, it's really not difficult.
Review it in 10 words.
Why can't I do this? Why can't I do this? Great cast. Bloody great. No, why are we using words like bloody just to fill it up? I mean, it was because of the gore. Right, okay.
Fill it. The 10... It's meant to be succinct. It's not meant to be try and fill 10
I know. Jesus Christ.
Use this if you want.
What the fuck's going on? Great cast. Great story. Very well made. Very well shot, sorry, I'll say.
Yeah. Do you want that? Just 3 more words?
It's a classic.
Love it.
Yeah, in my eyes.
Right. I've got a little twist. Well, it's not a twist, but I've got like a... Well, it's a normal feature of our quickfire questions.
Yeah.
It's a very specific section that I've decided to do. If that's all right. So this is...
I don't know what you're going to ask.
This is quickfire impressions.
Oh, fucking hell.
So I'm going to say the name of the person and you're going to do an impression. They get progressively more difficult.
Good.
If that helps.
Yeah, okay.
So I'll warm you up on an easy one, alright? Hannibal Lecter.
Okay. Can I do an impression of 2 characters in the same scene?
Yeah.
Because I've got one in my head.
Go on, go for it.
Okay.
I might tick off 2 other people.
Okay,
yeah.
so... And I can always do an extra one if you really need me to. Was it a butterfly? Yes, sir. A moth. Just like the one we found in Benjamin Rasbell's head an hour ago. Why does he put them there, Doctor? The significance of the moth is change. Are you good? That's Clarice and Hannibal.
Definitely
How's
need
that?
clarifying.
Yeah, because they were both basically the same. One was Clarice is a bit softer.
Yeah, she's got quite a deep voice actually.
Yeah, well, she's got a really very sort of recognisable voice.
Yeah,
I think.
she got that, he says because he comments on it. He says you know, that southern twang that you're trying to.
Stink of a lamb. Hell, boys.
they're way more southern, like Alabama than
yeah. Sorry, yeah.
Impression. Buffalo Bill.
Precious.
Inspiration for Gollum, I think. So I want it.
Was he?
Yeah, apparently.
Is that true?
No. Andy Serkis walked onto set, covered in ping pong balls.
Yeah.
Green suit.
Dick between his legs.
Gollum was to say, "Would you fuck me?
Would you fuck me? I'd fuck me. I'd fuck me so hard."
My gosh. But like, no, I don't think so, Andy. I don't think he'd say that. You've ticked off 3 of the impressions already, and there's only one more. Are you ready for the last one?
No, because I have known. Who's it going to be?
Can you do an impression of a death's head moth?
Why am I doing Hannibal? That's why he does it, because he knows it's a moth, isn't it?
Oh, is that what it is?
No. Although, I read something earlier, back in the day, I think he's Welsh, right? Anthony Hopkins. So wherever he grew up in Wales, he was into like the theatre and stuff when he was a kid, and he used to tell like horror stories to like the girls on the street, a couple of young girls, like Dracula stories, and he'd do the to scare them. So he already had that in the locker, and then he decided to bring that to the table for the character.
Iconic.
Wax a trick. Oh yeah, absolutely. The whole film's iconic.
There's
like,
lots of quotable lines.
So good. So many. Like they just rinse as much as they can out of every scene. I think.
Favourite quote?
Favourite quote. You wear Evian skin cream, and sometimes layered it on, but not today. He susses her out really quick, doesn't he? And he's like, "You think you can dissect me with this blunt little tool?"
Now you've gone into. Have you seen
Fuck me, I thought
Knives Out? Have you seen Knives Out?
You think I'm
Benoit Blanc?
Yeah.
Would you prefer to put lotion on your skin or get the hose again?
It depends on the hose, because if it's just a little garden hose, it's maybe not so bad.
Worse than putting lotion on your skin?
For me, if I was in that position, I would know that he wants me to put lotion on as part of his plan. I wouldn't know what that plan is, because I would never think he's going to cut the skin off me to make and wear it. I wouldn't think that. Maybe now I would, but, 1991 John, no, he's 3. So I'd be like, so I'm 3, I'm in the bottom of a well, I'd say, give me the fucking hose, thanks, because I can talk like that as well. But no, I would take the hose, because in that situation, in all seriousness, I think it would help diffuse his plan to a certain degree.
Right.
So I'd be like, give me the hose, because he don't want me to have the hose, he wants me to do the other thing, which is part of his plan. So give me the fucking hose, thanks, and that'll wind him up more.
Fair, yeah.
And then eventually he'll just bludgeon me to death rather than eat me or wear me or both.
Which win-win?
I win, yeah. I win. The only issue is you're in a well, you're not eating it, you're soaked through with cold water. That's the other part of that.
Yeah, and your skin's not as soft as it could have been.
And yeah, exactly. It's probably opened up the pores with the hose, and it's brick. It's a brick well. You can just use it, get the dirt. Use it
as a pumice stone.
Yeah, like, exactly. Get a bit of granite on it, clean your skin. Rip your nails off in it, and while you're trying to climb out.
Quite common dermatology advice, isn't it? If you don't have access to a regular pumice stone or like a brush or like, it's just use a brick. Speaking of skin, if you had to make an item of clothing out of human skin, what would you make and why? And that question is to number 3, please, Scylla. Do you watch Blind Date?
Blind Date? Yes, sorry, yes. Imagine you on Blind Date, but you're creating the questions. You're not in it. You're just writing questions.
If you had to make an item of clothing out of human skin, what would you make and why?
But you start it off with, speaking of skin, even though you haven't been previously. Speaking of skin, like, what's your ideal date? Oh, we'll go bowling and da da da. Speaking of skin. So what was the question? What?
If you had to make it, so I'm not saying that you would want to do this. I'm
Yeah.
saying if you had to, if for some reason,
Yeah.
somebody's saying, John, make me something out of human. I've got a big slab of human skin for you, big offcut of human skin.
Yeah.
What item of clothing would you make? He's making a suit of some sort.
Is
it ever made clear that he's making like he's what is it, a 3-piece he's making, or?
I don't think he would wear it as a 3-piece. No.
He's
Although it's a good question, because when he's finally got the suit, how is he going to get it on and off? Like you say, I just laughed at you for saying it's a 3-piece suit, but actually, presumably, he's going to fashion this suit into what is almost like a morph suit, effectively.
Yeah.
Like a full 1-piece suit.
Yeah.
So what, is he just never going to take it off again?
I guess so. He wants to live forever as a woman, doesn't he? That's his sort of end game.
I don't think he's thought it through.
Oh, is he not?
Well, I don't think so. How's he going to get... He's going to fucking stink after a bit as well. He'll be giving himself the hose.
Yeah,
know
I
my
think a
answer
morph
to
suit,
this.
but what would you make, sorry?
I'd fashion some feet, some slippers.
Yeah.
The reason being is I've got size 13 feet. One of the things that really pisses me off in life, this is not about skin, is that I can never seem to dry my feet enough when I get out the bath or the shower. And then I try and put some socks on, and they always get a bit stuck, don't they? Do you know when you've got wet feet and, you pull your socks on and you kind of get them, and then you end up getting them twisted. So my thinking is, if I've got some foot skin from a great big fat person, then they'll be nice and loose, and I can just glide straight in after a bath. Almost wear them around the house like slippers.
Have they got the toes on still?
I would maybe, if they have, I'd maybe put a few puncture holes underneath just to let a bit of air through.
Are you sort of tanning them like leather, or are you just wearing them as they are?
Well, I suppose I'd need to put some drawstrings on the top of them, because if it's just skin,
Bit of elastic.
they're probably going to roll, like start sliding down. Maybe some of them sock clips that you can get.
Yeah.
Do you know what you wear? I could get them. They'd be quite good.
I genuinely don't know what to think about any of that. But what I will say, and we don't ask this a lot of our listeners, but I really would like people to, I don't know, write in messages, whatever, however they want to contact us, and let me know, do you have a problem drying your feet post-shower? Because that's the first I've heard anybody ever say that.
I thought you were going to say, do you have a problem with wearing other people's skin? Speaking of skin, should we get on with the rest of the podcast? That's a better segue than yours on Blind Date, by the way.
So, John, you love this film. I love this film.
Sure do.
We've talked it to death. We've gone through all those questions.
Seamlessly.
Lord help the listener. But you've got an issue with this film.
It's not really an issue. It's more an observation from probably around the midpoint of the film, I would say. So, Clarice and Jack Crawford have put together their fake proposal for Hannibal to give up Buffalo Bill's identity, and he'll be transferred to a nicer maximum security prison away from Dr. Chilton.
Yeah.
He gets to go on the beach once a year, that sort of thing. They're going to meet the senator. Just before they go, Hannibal is holed up in his the sack barrow that they travel him around on.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a name for that.
It's a sack barrow when you're moving furniture, but
yeah,
it's basically a sack barrow that he's stood on.
Straight
he's
jacket.
clamped into. Straight jacket, he's got bars over his face. Dr. Chilton's just trying to give it, I use the word trying, to give him a bit of a roasting, saying that there was no deal with the senator, but now he's accepted it and made his own offer. And all the way through it, he's staring at this pen that's on his bed. He's just completely blanking Dr. Chilton and staring at this pen. And then it cuts out, it says, I've got some conditions of my own. I'm going to want to, his first name's Lewis, I'll tell the rest of the senator in person. So they hop off to the airport, and they're looking to do the transfer, and Dr. Chilton is looking for his pen. Nowhere to be seen. Camera zooms in on Hannibal Lecter, who does this really sort of dramatic inhale. And then later in the film, when he's in the new maximum security prison, and he spits out the, I don't know what you would call it, the part of the pen that clips onto something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Spits that out of his hand. Spits it out of his hand. He's got little
Spider-Man's
mouths.
what I was saying.
He's got little mouths on the end of his fingers, and that's how he eats his food. No mouth. He just eats like this. Garden peas, not a problem. Full step.
Up he's been talking, down he's for eating.
That's it. But they can also sing. So when he's playing the piano, it's fucking great.
On the piano, it's difficult because he can't be pressing a key whilst
He's
he's
just
trying to
muting
sing.
himself.
He's muting himself. Like a
So
Big
he
Elton
spits,
John funny as well.
yeah, so he spits his pen out into his hand, and then you know something's going to go down, right? And effectively, then he unclips his handcuffs off camera, hooks them in, bites the guy's face, uses his own pepper spray on him, and then just beats the living shit out of the other one. And it's worse that you don't even see his body. You just see him like almost hitting the camera in sort of first person, don't you?
Yeah.
And just more blood is spraying up his white t-shirt, which I think is great, like leaving it to the imagination. So the thingy here is, now I've not read the book, so there could be a really easy explanation to this.
But we're not basing
But
it. We're basing it on
fuck the book.
we base all of our thingies on what is presented to us in the film and
Theatrical release.
and what we know of that happened behind the scenes, obviously, because sometimes there's more going on that we figure out.
Exactly, yeah.
But we base the initial conversation around what happened and is presented to us in that particular film. We also don't concern ourselves with sequels or prequels. Yeah. It's that film and that film only.
Yeah, standalone. So the question is, he's clearly been after Dr. Chilton's pen. Between that point and getting to the airport, the pen has gone missing.
But they're not undoing him.
They're not undoing him.
Why would you
if anything,
him out of the straitjacket?
Exactly. If anything, he's more secure when he gets to the airport than he was in the previous scene because he's got the classic Hannibal Lecter mask on as well.
Yeah.
So he's somehow got the pen from Dr. Chilton between leaving the old prison and getting to the new one.
Yeah.
And then he takes the pen out of his mouth. Now, there's two parts to this thingy, actually. The first part is how has he done it, and the second part is a lot more trivial because it's behind like a stand, like a clothing stand in his new cell, because it's a circular cage, isn't it, effectively?
Yeah.
So he's got like a clothing stand that he can stand behind for privacy. He's stood behind that. Part A, how has he got the pen? And B, why did he need to keep the nib in his mouth when he was behind something that people couldn't see him in anyway? Why wasn't it just already in his hand or in his pocket? You know,
like taking it
apart and then spat out the part of the pen that's going to help him unlock and free himself for the...
Is there an argument to be made, and this is not related to the thingy, but I apologize for taking us off on a tangent. Is there an argument to be made that all of the actions done by Clarice and Jack Crawford in apprehending Buffalo Bill lead to far more devastation because they inadvertently release Hannibal Lecter and let him kill multiple security guards, a tourist,
yeah, and then Dr. Chilton at the end
as well.
Well, yeah, I think you're right. I think Jack Crawford's dropped a bollock there, hasn't he? Big time.
It's great that they've caught Buffalo Bill.
Yeah,
I mean, would they have managed to make their way to him? I mean, they certainly wouldn't have saved the senator's daughter. I think she would have been a goner if not for Hannibal's help.
I agree. Yeah,
but at what cost?
Yeah,
you know, it's the great good, isn't it? It's the
greater good.
Back to the thingy.
Yeah.
So
I
think I've solved it.
Okay.
Without any further ado, and I think this will be our shortest episode yet. If you ignore the inane rambling at the start that's got us to this point. But yeah, I think I'm already there with it.
Okay.
One of the guards says to Clarice something along the lines of, "Is he a vampire?"
Yes, he does. Yeah.
So I ask you, John, is he a vampire?
They don't know what he is. That's what she says, isn't it? Is he a vampire? Why would he be a vampire? No, I suppose effectively he's not, is he? Because he's not drinking their blood, he's eating their flesh and organs.
Is there any point is he featured in a mirror? Do we see him in a mirror at any point? Does he have a mirror in his...
Does he have a mirror above his sink?
Maybe. They'd probably get... Yeah, it's not the greatest, is it?
There's
not a lot of evidence. My reasoning for him being a vampire would be... Because there is another part of the film that you were talking about it being a bit mystical or a bit sort of like unexplained, is that Miggs is found dead.
Yeah.
And supposedly he's choked on his own tongue.
Because Lecter's been tormenting him.
He's been sort of like whispering him.
Yeah.
You can't choke on your own tongue. That's an urban legend. You cannot. I believe
you could bite it off though, couldn't you?
You could bite it off
and then choke
on it.
Maybe that's what they mean.
But that's quite extreme, right? To be able to talk somebody into doing that. Maybe so. I mean, the guy's
But it's Hannibal Lecter, right? He's
And it is
fucking.
Hannibal Lecter.
He knows what he's doing.
But if he was a vampire, maybe he's got even more influence over what Miggs does. Or he can just turn himself to dust or smoke and just...
What, through like hypnotism or something?
Or something, yeah.
So are you saying that when she first comes in and they have the conversation and he leaves and Miggs Spider-Man's Clarice, he's just gone... Like
Why would he do that?
And that because then it gets her to come back to him because he can be the hero then. Because he goes, Agent Starling, come back, Agent Starling.
It's so panicked.
Yeah, exactly.
Look
within yourself, Agent Starling.
I appreciate that, but she's not hurriedly trying to get out. She's like,
if anything, she's kind of like touching it in her hair a little bit too long.
She's disgusted by it, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
So, but she's not desperate to leave. But then obviously all the inmates start to get really
rowdy, don't they?
And in the panic, Hannibal Lecter gets caught up in it and he starts shouting as well.
Agent Starling!
And he's like, quick, you gotta go again. But, there's no need for
I don't think we can manage again so soon, even though we're crazy. Go now!
And she's like, oh shit, I better...
and already, Miggs is already jacking it off again, isn't he?
Yeah.
He can manage again so soon.
Because he is crazy.
Yeah, he is crazy. And Hannibal has already just mystified him and gone, just start jacking it again.
So, is he a vampire?
I'm not convinced, because why
would he stay imprisoned? He hasn't got a healthy supply of blood, has he? He's not going to be able to...
he'd die.
He would die.
He would die.
He'd crumble into dust, wouldn't he?
Yeah, and also, I mean, I'm using a lot of vampire tropes here, but...
We have to, because they're not real.
Based on... You don't know that they're not real.
I do.
Do you?
Well, but there's no evidence for a real vampire.
There's no evidence that there isn't. A cannibal is probably the nearest thing, right? I suppose it's the other stuff that comes associated with the myths.
Like turning into a bat.
Like bat, yeah. But based on those tropes, is what I was going to say, is why can't he, in his new cell with the bars on, he could just turn into a bat and fly out of it?
Yeah.
So,
or he could turn into smoke, or he could...
Yeah.
Hypnotise a guard and let him out. Yeah.
What I will say for him though is when he does escape, he's committed because obviously he's alright with this, but he puts the dead person's face on himself.
Yeah.
But then when they give him the oxygen in the ambulance, he starts seizuring, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Or having a fit of some kind. And I'm thinking, obviously at this point when you've not seen it before, you're presuming it's the guard still. So he puts himself, through the ringer a little bit to escape, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. I'm just trying to think about how he got that pen, because that's the key part of it. And the only explanation I can think of, other than him being a vampire and it somehow sort of mystified, is, has he got a lizard tongue that he can shoot out of his mouth?
Well, that's a good point, because that's what it is. Because the only part of him that is actually exposed is his forehead and his mouth to breathe, right?
Yeah.
And I'm presuming he's not used his forehead to get the pen out of off his bed.
He'd have to have a magnet in his head or something that he could just turn on, but then it would just go to his forehead, wouldn't it?
So let's work on the basis then that it's his.
If it was a
his mouth,
but if it was a magnet in his forehead that he's got he's had a magnet surgically implanted into his forehead.
Is that Dr. Chilton has done that to try and control him, maybe?
Yeah, some sort of, but it's backfired because now he can telepathically control the magnet.
Yeah.
And choose when he wants it to switch on and off. He has to be really careful because if he walks too close to the bars and he turns it on, he just headbutts the bars.
Headbutts everything.
But if he can fine tune it, he could get that pen to just fly and stick to his forehead.
Yeah.
The only issue there is that then if he does it...
How's he getting it off?
But if the cap falls off and that pen just goes straight into his head, there's a scene that they might have had to cut where Hannibal Lecter's just got a fountain pen sticking out of his forehead. Now back to that tongue, because... John, I want to return you to the tongue, if I may. Because you also said that part B to this thing was that there was... why has he got it in his mouth?
I did. Yeah, I did.
Well, if it... John, answer this. Where does the tongue live?
My tongue lives in my mouth.
As does
I can't speak
Hannibal
for
Lecter's.
everyone.
Hannibal Lecter's does. I've seen it.
You've seen it, yeah? Okay. So he's got an extraordinarily large tongue. Or a lizard.
Like a frog.
So, right, so it's one of the ones that goes and grabs a fly sort of thing.
Yeah.
So he's a reptilian.
He's a reptile man, yeah.
It's a cannibalistic reptile man.
It explains a little bit more about it, doesn't it?
And are we, just because I'm very conscious that we do this quite a lot, we are talking about the character. We are talking, so we're not saying Anthony Hopkins is a reptile man.
Well,
we're talking about
I was going to say
Hannibal Lecter as the character.
I was going to say it makes more sense that it's Hannibal Lecter.
However,
you mentioned that Anthony Hopkins in his youth would tell stories
about Dracula,
about vampires and so on, which is a bit dubious anyway. He was already mentioned vampires, but that aside, at the end of these stories or during these stories, to spook fellow thespians or whatever, he would do the tongue noise.
Yeah.
Was he doing that involuntarily? Because
and just what? Is there a pens?
A lizard man. That's what he does.
Does it only pens though? Does he only eat pens? Can he just get whatever he wants?
Yeah, presumably. I think. At no point I said that he needs to have the pen.
That's how. When Clarice goes to him, he gets the towel, lobs it in the...
No, the towel's already in it.
And he goes
and
just pushes
it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's actually not bad. Not bad.
But is it Hopkins?
We might have to push on a bit further. Based on his backstory of, doing these impressions and things, it's probably lining up like it was Hopkins.
I got it. It's alright.
He's got it.
Once again,
he's got
it. You've solved it. Hopkins. He's at the audition. He's well known. He's been in it.
He wasn't mainstream though, was he?
No, but he'd been in Elephant Man and he'd been in a few bits of bobs, and he'd making a bit of a name for himself. He's a bit of a thesp, isn't he? So people know that he's got a bit.
Do you know who they wanted initially?
No.
Sean Connery.
But he can't do that with his tongue. Okay, so Connery rocks up and
he. His tongue's too short, isn't it?
His tongue's too short. And he's saying, I did live with her.
Oh, I love the Potter.
Nice country. And they're going, it's alright.
Bit short, that.
Hopkins turns up and he does that. And they go,
doesn't say a word.
They
just
go,
goes,
that's interesting, Anthony. And he goes, yeah, I used to do that at parties and stuff. Then he says, does he have an extra long tongue? Sorry, what do you mean? And Hopkins says, does Hannibal Lecter
let me spell it out for you.
Have an extra long tongue, like a lizard?
Yeah.
I don't think. And then they're flicking through the scripts.
Yeah, because they're not sure.
And the character bio, and they're like, no, I don't. At no point, it doesn't even mention his tongue. Why not? Why don't you give him an extra long tongue like a lizard? Make him into a lizard man. That would explain why he's a cannibal, because it's a bit more linked than in it. Lizards, cold-blooded, all that. Maybe they eat meat. Do they?
Do they eat each other? Who knows?
He hasn't come prepared. He's come with one thing. He's tunnel visioned on this extra long tongue audition, and they go, maybe he can do it. I don't know. Connery rocks up, absolutely ruins his. No, he's no good. He won't suit this role. He's too.
Can I imagine him though? I bet it would have been shite.
Yeah, he would.
He would have been really shite. No offense, Sean.
No, he's great. I mean, there's a couple.
Not for that.
He's great in
Highlander.
3 films.
He's good in the films where he plays a different character other than himself.
He's good in The Rock, isn't he?
Oh, The Rock's very good.
Great film.
Yeah.
Nick Cage.
We've got to do that one. We've got to do The Rock.
Ed Harris as well, isn't it? Ed Harris,
yeah.
Yeah, good film, that.
Yeah, well, let's do The Rock. Anyway,
sorry. Anthony Hopkins and his big old lizard tongue. He hasn't got a lizard tongue, but he wants Hannibal Lecter to have a lizard tongue. And he says, look, he leans into the casting director and says, look, I've been thinking about this lizard tongue. And the casting director's thinking, you're good in Elephant Man, but I'm not sure. Like, not everyone has to be, like, an animal man. Just because you're an Elephant Man doesn't mean we have to do Lizard Man now.
Yeah.
But he's thinking, I'll hear him out, whatever. And he's like, you've got a couple of scenes in here that don't make a lot of sense to me. At one point, he steals this pen when he's tied up. At one point, he manages to do something to Meigs when he's tied up. Well, when he's in a different cage. At another point, he manages to move a towel when he's tied up. Like, these things are... People are gonna point out these.
Yeah.
Unless you give him an extra long tongue.
The only way this is going to work is if he has a tongue that can reach 10 feet length, minimum. And they go, I don't know how it's going to work because it's not really... we've got a guy sticking his dick between his legs and that's a bit too far for us already, but we've said yes because he's already recorded it at home and sent it in. So, if we do this, we're going to have to make it, creatively. We're going to have to do it in a way that still makes sense with the film, right?
He says, yeah.
He goes, yeah.
He goes, I've got the
I'm
pack.
your man. He goes, I'm your man.
And then he goes,
And they go,
and then
I'm
he
your...
goes, oh, that's weird.
Yeah, and he goes, oh, why does he keep doing that? So we're saying then, in that scene where Chilton's giving him the attempted roasting before the airport, he turns his back and Hannibal literally just goes...
Yep.
And grabs it in his mouth.
Grabs
right?
a pen, probably the whole pen in his mouth.
And is that why at the airport he does the... Because it is
He's
kind
got
of
a
choking
pen
on it.
stuck in his mouth.
So he's had it in his throat the whole time.
Basically, yeah.
Right?
He's trying to dislodge it.
And he can't. He can't dislodge it.
No.
Because his arms are fucking tied
Yeah.
up. So what? He swallows it?
Probably swallows it, yeah. I would think so.
So he swallows it. Next time we see it, he's in his new cell.
Yeah. He's
And
managed
he's behind, and that's why he's behind the thing, because he's had a little... It's gone down.
Yeah.
He's not on a big diet at that point, is he? So he'll be
passing that
fairly quick. That what do you reckon it was a Parker?
Nicer
Dr. Chilton would have had a Parker as a minimum, wouldn't he? Because he's a fucking jumped up little cunt, Mont Blanc. So he's got the pen with in his first. He's already had his first dinner, whatever that was. They don't say. That's also coming down the.
Yeah.
You know.
He doesn't always use the tongue.
Well, obviously not. I think he's quite sort of...
I think he's quite...
creative and...
Despite Hopkins being really keen on the tongue, being involved and being shown on film, and he's like, it's a really good idea, guys. People are going to question it if you don't use it. They say... They sort of film some of the bits where he's using the tongue, and then cut. Obviously, that'll end up on the editing room floor. But Hannibal Lecter, as he's written, is quite self-conscious about the extra long tongue, I think.
Yeah. That's why he's sat in the dark at that point as well,
yeah,
isn't it?
because at that point it's just hanging out.
Before Clarice gets there, he's literally rolling his tongue back up, keep the lights off, but then he has to fucking throw it out again to open the drawer for it with a towel in. He's like,
unlike a frog's tongue or like a chameleon's tongue, whichever ones do they
just fly back in.
They retract, and come back in.
Yeah,
you're saying that he just shoots out
and
then just flops on the floor.
Yeah, it's so long and heavy.
He's got to manually pull it in with his hand and push it back into his mouth.
He's got to get it.
So how did he get the pen then?
That's a good. That's a good point. Yeah,
we've tied ourselves up again.
Tied ourselves up in long tongues. I think you're right. I think he shoots out.
But sometimes he just likes to let it hang out.
Unless he's just got like a really good like he's just got like a really big in breath, and he just.
Is that what the little noise is?
Maybe, yeah. He's just gathering.
That's it retracting itself. It sounds a bit like when you when you click a tape measure and it goes back in.
Oh yeah, it's really satisfying as well when you do that, isn't it?
Well, that's why he does it quite a lot, because he's self-conscious, but he finds it quite satisfying. Are we on something? Serious question. Are we on something here?
I think so. Because there's no other real explanation. It's tied up a couple of inches for his mouth. How else has he got it? I think so. I think we're there. So he's got a lizard tongue. It does retract. He grabs Chilton's pen. He swallows the pen, or it's in his mouth. He means to spit it out at the next possible opportunity, but he knows there ain't going to be one for a while. Has it in his mouth. He does the because he's struggling. He's really struggling.
Yeah.
Then they go to the centre, and he thinks, shit, I actually need to have a conversation with someone now. I can't just keep my mouth shut. So he has no choice but to swallow it. He has the whole quippy scene at the airport.
The hangar, yeah.
At the hangar. To ship him off to his new one. He's had his first dinner. That's now forcing the digestive system down a little bit. I guess the only real way out is for him to do a little poo. Does he behind his privacy rail?
Yeah.
He's behind his privacy rail. He just has a massive turd to get the pen out. But then he puts it in his mouth. What second part of the thingy? Why is it then back in his mouth?
Well, my thought was that maybe he just regurgitated it.
Okay, so what? Internally, he's unscrewed the pen, digested the majority of the pen, but then regurgitated only the nib of the pen out.
Presumably,
that's pretty impressive.
I don't think he's done it intentionally. I don't think his intestines have disassembled the pen. Maybe his stomach acids have helped loosen it.
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
Maybe.
But he's regurgitated it. It's back in his mouth, and he's like, "Well, this is useful now, but I don't know if I should. I don't want to lose it. I'll keep it up here. It's near my tongue. If I need to get it out again, I can get the tongue out."
I also think there's another part of this that we've not overlooked, but it's only just come into light because we've unravelled the majority of it already. the reason he puts the copper's face on himself is because he wants to get in the ambulance, because he's also got a pen really deep inside his intestines. Yeah. So when he's lodged, yeah. So he's a man of science in a lot of ways, isn't he? So I also think he's done what he's done to escape, but I also think there's a couple of ways he could have escaped, other than the way that he did. And I think he's gone, I actually really need an ambulance now. The rest of this pen is doing some serious internal damage. My tongue isn't long enough to go inside myself to get it back out.
No. God, no.
Yeah, and he'd be pulling all sorts up, wouldn't he? Is that it?
I can't really fault it. Is there anything else to the fact that he's got... Has he just got a lizard tongue? There are a couple of other thoughts I've got, which we can just run through quickly.
Yeah.
When he escapes, he makes a bit of a show. He's a bit of a showman, isn't he?
Yeah.
He makes a bit of a show of at least one of the bodies, and he hangs it, and he has disemboweled it, I think, or whatever.
Yeah. Shock factor, though, isn't it?
Yeah, and he's obviously trying to sort of create confusion. And
yeah.
I mean, he does a lot in quite a short space of time, what I imagine is quite a short space of time.
Plays havoc with them elevators, doesn't he?
Is he using his tongue as a sort of a tool throughout
Is that how he gets him up? It kind of acts as scaffolding a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it would make it helpful if you were trying to get somebody high up and maybe sort of like get them attached in some way, affixed. Having an extra long tongue might help to sort of help,
hoist
push
the
something over.
And he's got a flag up there. He proper hoists the colours with his tongue, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And then once he's got him tied up, he just whips it back, then takes the guy's face off and puts it on.
Yeah. I think that's it. I don't think he's got any other frog abilities.
No, I mean,
can he jump high?
I don't know. You don't really. There's never really any. You don't really see any opportunity for him to showcase that. I'm not saying he can. I just mean it's maybe because obviously we don't see the tongue in full flow either, do we?
No.
So there is a good chance that he is full sort of amphibian.
So he could be half man, half frog. But
yeah.
It looks like a man.
Lizard, not frog now. Yeah, frog, not lizard now.
I don't know. How much of a difference is there? Which animals? How many animals can do the tongue thing? Do lizards do that?
The lizards and frogs. I don't know about to that extent. I don't know.
Frogs are amphibian.
Yeah.
Lizards are reptiles.
Yeah.
Both cold-blooded.
Yeah.
Amphibians,
just like Hannibal, really.
What? Yeah, cold-blooded killer. Isn't
cold-blooded reptile.
Cold-blooded reptile man. Reptiles, amphibians need to keep wet. Does he at any point show sign that he needs to be sort of kept moist at all times?
Not really.
Like he's going to dry out if he doesn't?
No, he doesn't.
He's probably more a reptile than I would say.
Yeah, because when she talks about going to the beach, the new prison, he kind of turns his nose up at it a little bit, so maybe he don't want to get wet. So maybe he's happy being a bit warm. Because it's glass. It's a glass cell. It must get a bit warm.
Basically a Bavarian.
It's basically...
That's why he's happy there.
That's it.
For the most part.
For 8 years.
But then
he decides he wants to change the scenery. He wants to see the world a bit.
Yeah, he wants to see a tree on the ocean.
Yeah. Wants a view, didn't he?
I'm absolutely speechless because it's so clear. Hopkins has suggested it. Fair play to him.
Yeah.
He's a terrific actor.
Yeah.
He knew he was only getting what was originally going to be 20 minutes of screen time.
Yeah.
Well, sort of 15,
they managed to reduce it
by
4 minutes.
They reduced it because
4
that
minutes
was all
of
the
full
shots of tongue action.
Yeah, full.
Which they said, yeah, we'll film it, and then they didn't leave it in.
4 minutes of tongue. Yeah.
It's definitely going to confuse the audience more if they see a big tongue.
Yeah.
Than if they just connect the dots in their head as to how he got the pen and stuff.
And the kind of go, look, Ted made that home tape that he sent in. He demanded that it goes in the film. You don't want anything to outshine his tucking scene.
Yeah, it's either a big tongue or a dick tuck. Isn't it? That's always been my motto.
That's it.
Who boy? That was a humdinger.
That was on the macaroni.
Yeah. We nailed it.
Yeah, it's actually really obvious again. Once you really peel back the layers, it's super obvious.
Yeah. Do you want to do a 30-second summary?
We better add for the convenience listener.
Yeah, just, I mean, it should be clear, but this will just help, tidy it all up.
Yeah, let's do it.
Anthony Hopkins nails the audition for Hannibal Lecter.
Sean Connery's gutted.
Hopkins takes issue with the blatant plot holes in the script
He remembers his tongue-piter trick from back in the valleys,
and convinces the filmmakers to give Lecter an 8-foot retracting lizard tongue.
but explicitly no other lizard superpowers.
Off-screen, Hannibal Lecter uses his big tongue to grab the pen
He regurgitates the nip.
and seeks medical assistance for the parts lodged in his colon
The director removes the scenes.
because he doesn't want it to overshadow Ted Levine's epic tuck.
Hopkins wins the Oscars anyway.
Everyone's a winner.
Happy days.
It is
Yeah.
one of the finest bits of cinema off the back of that.
Yeah, genuinely, what a fantastic film.
And you wouldn't know, watching it, all the right decisions were made by the filmmakers there.
I think Hopkins has done the right thing by not revealing the lizard tongue and sitting pretty on the Oscar.
Yeah,
because
he could easily have said that.
his career did nothing but fly, even more so after that film. So
he could easily, during his acceptance speech, have said...
He could have just accepted it from his seat and just gone and just grabbed the Oscar from the podium.
No, he couldn't, because he hasn't got an actual...
Oh yeah, that's because...
Could have now.
Yeah, you're right. It's the actor.
No.
No, it's the character. It's the character.
Hannibal Lecter, right.
Done pretty well this time, not to get mixed up.
Yeah, you've left it right till the
from the
summary.
end.
Yeah. Let's say more about it, because we risk spoiling it. Do you want to say your goodbyes now?
Yeah, I think we should. I'd like to say just a thank you to everyone that's been listening to the podcast. Actually, a sincere thank you. People have been dropping messages into the on the social page to tell us how much they've enjoyed it. So glad you're glad you're enjoying it. Glad it's making sense to everyone.
No, we're making the world, or at least the cinema world, a better place, I think.
But no, it's good. I'm glad people are listening. Glad people are enjoying it. And as we always say, if you have your own film thingies, send them in, and we'll happily do a bit of digging for you.
Yeah.
Join us next time for another episode of the Film Thingy Podcast.